Thank you, and hello. Well, League of Women Voters White Bear Lake area is happy to welcome you to this virtual forum for candidates running for mayor in the city of Grant. This forum is not open to the public and it is not being live streamed. It is being recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel. In addition, local cable stations will replay the forum on a schedule they determine. Candidates, if for any reason your internet connection is lost, please call in using your phone. I'm Mary Santi. I live outside the city in White Bear Township, and I will be moderating. League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan volunteer organization that encourages citizens to participate in government. While the League studies and takes stands on issues, we do not support or oppose any candidate or political party. The goal of our forums is to learn more about the candidates and their positions on the issues who will be on the ballot November 3rd. So all candidates were invited to participate in the forum, and both candidates are participating, and they are Jeff Huber and Larry Lanoux. And candidates will give their opening statements, alphabetical order, and after that we'll rotate the answers for each question. You'll have a minute and a half for opening statement. For questions, you'll have a minute to answer, plus another 30 seconds for a rebuttal if you choose. And finally, closing statements will come in reverse alphabetical order. A timer will show a card when you have 15 seconds and then stop. You may finish your sentence. So we'll go first to Jeff Huber. Huber?
Yes, ma'am, Huber, yep.
Opening statement, Jeff.
All right, very good. I won't need a minute. This is pretty simple. First, I'd like to thank you for holding the forum. You guys have been a constant in my political life in Grant, always there to hold the forums, and I appreciate that very much. Now, over the last 15 years, I've been involved in Grant's leadership. We've heard, myself and others have heard a very consistent message from our residents. They want their home in Grant preserved. They want taxation and government kept small. No one has really moved to Grant in order for government to provide things for them at the cost of high taxes. We came out here to sort of have our home in the country and not have those high taxes and large government. We all, of course, want the basic services and the right to be left alone, as we're largely individualists out here in Grant who came to live in peace and quiet. So we've achieved over the last 15 years of my involvement in the city council these goals with low taxes while retaining our longest serving staff the city has ever had. Our administrator is the longest serving administrator clerk that we've ever had, and the rest of our contractors are similarly very long lasting. We're very proud of that because we are running small budgets and it's very difficult to get new contractors. So we've done that by still being frugal with taxpayer money and have absolutely almost zero depreciating assets. So we don't own equipment, we don't own town halls except one small building. So very, very small liabilities, and we carry no pension liabilities, and that's how we're able to do this in large part. Now, our road policy is very unique among cities. It's resident driven. A resident, if they want to have their road redone, they want to have a gravel road paved, or they want to have a paved road repaved, they have to come into the city council with a petition. So we don't order that. If you live in a regular city, oftentimes you'll just get a letter in the mail. Well, we don't do that. The residents come in and tell us to do that. So our city's doing well. It's in the right hands, and I hope your thoughtful vote will continue that. Thank you.
Thank you. Larry Lanoux.
Well, young ladies, thanks for hosting this opportunity today. I've been a longtime resident of Grant, probably much longer than Jeff has. I came out into Grant in 1968. I started training horses at the Spouts Farm. At that time, our town was a township, not a city. Many of you have seen me speak at the Grant Tractor Parade. You might have recognized this brochure. I'm the founder of the Grant Restoration Project. We hold the Heritage Days Parade. I've developed a scholarship for the youth and grant, $3,000 a year for 3 students to get. They have to take that $1,000 and donate half of it to a charity of their choice. So we're trying to teach our citizens a good stewardship out here. I got involved because well, I want to protect our future generations so they have the same opportunity to enjoy the lifestyle our ancestors established and we've been accustomed today. I want to promote our rural lifestyle, our community and agricultural heritage character, and preserve our heritage and encourage the activities that make our environment and land so cherished. I am opposed to any form of sewer and water. If those that remember the charter, I helped introduce language that prohibit any form of public sewer and water in Grant. Some people put out literature and said that it was bringing it, but it wasn't. So I'm here to design a fair and equitable road policy. I'm here to amend the comprehensive plan to deter Met Council intrusion, not to encourage it, and not to write ordinances that allows them to come into our community.
Okay, thank you. And we'll turn to the questions. The questions came from on our website from the public. And the first questions are on the comprehensive plan. Larry Lanoux, you will be the first to answer. Do you agree with the recent changes made to the comprehensive plan and why?
I don't agree with the changes made to the comprehensive plan. And one of the biggest reasons why is the citizens were not allowed to put together a steering committee as in the past. We have to rewrite it every 10 years. When I sat on the council, I asked if the citizens would be allowed to put together a steering committee, review the comprehensive plan, and make changes where needed. They were denied access to the town hall to meet. We were told that the citizens will not be allowed to put together a committee and that our staff will rewrite our comprehensive plan. And since that's been done, they have changed some of the language in there to comply with Met Council procedures and recommendations, rather than write language to deter Met Council intrusion. And then they directed city staff to rewrite our ordinances to comply with Met Council. I think we should be writing language to oppose Met Council.
Thank you. Jeff Huber?
Well, that was interesting. The comp plan was done by our citizen volunteers on our planning commission. They're unpaid volunteers. They're appointed to the city. Our city never banned any group from discussing the comp plan, but the staff advise the planning commission to rewrite that. And Larry, you have talked several times about these changes that were made, but no examples, because there are no examples. Our comp plan has maintained the integrity of the city for years and years. It will continue to do so. We still have the same outstanding deal. Hi, Lauren. The same outstanding deal that was made with the Met Council years and years ago in order to keep our 10-acre average density and our 5-acre lot size and our city sewer or city septics and no city water. So nothing has changed. We've done exactly what we've done in the past. Planning Commission did it. And then it goes out for public comment. We've received many, many public comments on our plan, and we're real pleased with the result of it, and it'll keep Grant the home in the country that it's been for years and years. So thank you.
Any rebuttal? Larry Lanoux.
Jeff, you're exactly right. The citizens did participate. The citizens that you appointed to the Planning Commission. But the other citizens throughout our community were denied to participate, and they're denied use of the building to even go there and put this together. Were they offered? I have been to your Planning Commission, and when it was on the docket and citizens showed up, they said, well, it looks like we're running too late. We'll table it till next month. So really, yes, some of the citizens participated, the ones you appointed, Jeff, but not all the citizens that would have liked to have had input.
Jeff, for rebuttal?
Well, that's too bad, Larry, because there was a several month long period for every citizen in the city to actually comment on the plan. And where you get this idea they weren't allowed to participate within the planning commission, you come up with these things with never any proof. You say them as though they're facts, but Larry, they're not facts. Everyone in the city was able to comment on that plan, and they did so. Very, very many of them did, and we're very proud of the ones that did do so. Our comp plan has changed very little, Larry. You and I both know it if you've read it. Thank you.
Well, you've already done a rebuttal. And so we're going to change to another question. So we get in lots of different areas. And the next question will start with Jeff Huber. In the past, the road policy required 75% of affected homeowners to agree with road improvements. In 2019, policy change was made to require only 50% approval. Do you agree with the change? And if elected, would you consider resorting back to the 75% approval?
Yeah, good question. In the last 2 years, we've had over 4 miles of roads done in Grant. That is a record. Our road policy works. One of the reasons it works is because we were having small roads, small cul-de-sacs with 4 or 5 residents on them. And you'd get one person that was going to move in the next year or one person that was retiring and didn't want the expense. So these roads were never getting done. By bringing it down to 51%, we were able to get many more of these roads done. There's been no problem doing this. We've gotten historically low costs. We have historically low interest rates to finance this work. In fact, the city actually, because of our great reserve position, finance some of these projects ourselves. So we actually bonded against ourselves using our reserves, which was a good use of our money. We actually got more doing those projects than we did in the bank with our reserves. So, you know, we're real proud of this system. The 51% works for our city, and we get these roads done that have to be done. And again, very proud of the procedure, and grassroots citizens are just wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Larry Lanoux.
Yes, in 2015, 2016, and 2017, if you go back to the minutes of our city council, our city had a special roads fund, 25,000. Each one of those years, they asked that the Joliet Avenue north of 96 be included to be paved at a taxpayer's expense solely. That happens to be the road that Mayor Huber and Carr live on. So now we come to 2019 and we change the road policy. It says they no longer even have to get 75%. If they can't reach 50%, and I'll read the statement from the resolution. It says, the city council reserves the right to approve or disapprove any project in accordance with the best interest of the city. Now, what we should really be doing is looking at that. Why did they include theirs and in Woodland Acres to help them pay for their project out there? Our city is 50% paved and 50% gravel. We have state roads, county roads, everybody uses the roads. We should use bonding throughout our entire city so we can maintain our roads in a proper fashion.
Thank you. Now, rebuttals? Jeff?
Yes, ma'am. Obviously, the special roads projects were never dedicated to actually repave roads. Larry, come on, you know better than this. We're using bonding throughout the city. We don't pay for it out of reserves. We bond for every project that we do. As I just talked about, we're getting bonding interest rates in the neighborhood of 2 to 2.5%. With oil prices as low as they are, of course we're doing more roads. Does the council reserve the right to do a road project? You bet they do. If we have a dangerous road that can't get past, we may do that. But Joliet Avenue, I'll be paying my full share. Don't you worry. It's going to be right on my taxes, Larry. Right on my taxes. Thank you.
Larry Lanoux.
All right. Jeff, yes, Mr. Rogg on your council was allowed to pave his own road at his own expense, didn't go through the road policy program. And actually, if you look at Keats Avenue by the golf course, and that was paid completely by taxpayer dollars. You did it in 3 increments. The first one is going to be for 25,000, second 25, and by the time it got to the third, rather than do it all at one project, that last 25 came in at a price of 46,000. That's why it's still not done now. That's why we have to look at all of our roads and have a fair, equitable for all citizens in Grant.
So if we make one more comment about roads, I would ask, and we begin with Larry Lanoux, what do you think is the best policy for road maintenance, improvements, and taxation for both asphalt and gravel roads in the city?
Well, you have to understand, we have many state roads, we have county roads, we have gravel roads, and we have dirt roads. If you go to the city of Afton, they have bonded and they put a scheduled road maintenance program. They bond it, and that way they are replacing so many roads every year over a scheduled period. Everybody drives the same roads. My neighbors, a good example, they just did a project on Keswick Avenue over here. They stopped 3 feet into one driveway, 15 feet further, there's another driveway. They didn't blacktop that one. They stopped short. So they're picking the winners and losers. But those people turn off the gravel road right onto our blacktop roads. Everybody uses our roads. You are paying for your state road. We should be bonding throughout the entire city to repair our roads in a timely fashion so we can maintain them so that they will last longer.
Jeff Huber.
Yeah, we have right around 1,400 residents. Our total tax levy this year is $1,242,757. That is for 70 miles of roads, 1,400 households, 70 miles of roads. We get no gas tax money. We're not over 5,000. We cannot do what Afton does because we don't have their population. And frankly, with the current council, we won't go into that type of debt. The system that we have right now works. People are responsible for the road in front of their house. And as Larry says, we all drive the roads. I haven't driven on Keswick in 10 years. I have no reason to drive Keswick. I drive down to 96 and then I go about my business. There are many roads in Grant that are just neighborhood access feeder roads. This is why we have this system. Lack of tax dollars, minimum number of residences, huge amount of frontage. Look at all these great big farm fields that we have. There's no way to pay for that. You can't bond and make everyone else pay for the frontage in front of a farm field that may go half a mile. It's not fair. This is fair. You're responsible for what's in front of your house, and we keep our home in the country. Thank you, ladies.
Larry Lanoux.
Yeah, if you remember when we had a Blue Ribbon Road Committee, they realized that our roads were in dire need. They put together funding. They put $500,000 in an account. It got thrown in the general fund. Our taxes went down for 1 year. They got reelected, and then they went right back up. If we start planning, no, you don't fix all your roads in 1 year. You rate the roads according to their need and their traffic and stuff. So yes, we can do it in a fair and equitable place. You're right. People live on state highways. They will never pay for a road improvement, or a county road. They don't pay for road improvements, but they do use our roads, and we use the roads in front of theirs. So it just needs to be a fair and equitable policy.
Jeff Huber, your rebuttal?
Yeah, it is very fair right now. Those people that live on those county roads, guess what they do pay? They pay City of Grant taxes the same amount if their house is the same value as Larry and I do. And their taxes go to maintaining city roads. Those city taxes do not maintain that county road in front of their house. Their county taxes do. So in terms of fair and equitable, we're all getting a good product in Grant for the amount of taxes that we pay. We pay a minimal amount of taxes, smallest in the metro, and we've still got our home in the country and good serviceable roads. And like I say, with the new policy, we've got 4 miles of roads here in the last 2 years. It's working. And again, I'm very proud of my residents for making it work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we'll switch from the roads to flooding. And we'll have Jeff Huber to answer first. The flooding has been around Sunnybrook Lake and Indian Hills Golf Course. Why did the prior councils reject Valley Branch Watershed District's proposals to manage Sunnybrook Lake flooding?
Sure. Those were well before my time. Those were in the 80s and early 90s. The last cost estimate to take care of that by pumping it over land and getting rid of it was right around $2.4 million. That would be double the city's budget. And the council did not refuse that. That was actually the citizens around Sunnybrook that did not want to kick into it. In fact, I know the citizen who sort of torpedoed that plan. Sunnybrook has been a problem since the 70s. Unfortunately, the county, we were a township at the time, the county permitted homes without shooting elevations, or I don't know what happened, but homes were built in a landlocked basin, which is why water has been pumped occasionally across Indian Hills. Not only does it keep down the water levels in Sunnybrook, but it helped to save his 7th and 8th hole, I believe, Mr. Reagan's 7th and 8th hole there in Indian Hills. So this has been a problem. I stood out there in 2016 with my shoes getting wet with water going over there. It's been a problem for years, and it's frankly past the city's legal liability to do anything about it. We have no power over the waters which flow over the land. That is Valley Branch Watershed District alone. We cannot touch those waters. And the residents down there know this. I mean, this is interesting that we're talking about this, because there's absolutely nothing the city can do other than raise the roads to keep access to those neighborhoods, which we've done very, very consistently. Thank you.
Larry Lanoux.
All right, Jeff, you just made the statement that they did the study and it happened in 80s and 90s. Well, I've got the document from the Valley Branch Watershed. The study was done in 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002, 3, and 4.
Thank you for making my point.
May I get my time back, Jeff? The Valley Branch managers ultimately, the project was ultimately abandoned due to the city of Grant withdrawing its commitment to raise portion of the road. In 2017, I put in pumps and lowered that lake 5 feet. Where we pumped is into an infiltration basin. We're able to pump for 5 months straight. Now, if you go out to Keats Avenue today, you'll find that road is open because I've installed pumps in there again. And if you come back in if I'm allowed to pump another 5 to 6 more days, Jocelyn Road will also be open. It's a recommendation. It's the city did, and it's the city's responsibility for health, safety, and welfare of our roads.
But you could each have another 30 seconds for rebuttal if you choose.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, so he proved my point. This was well before our time. The city of Grant did not torpedo this project. And if it did, well, good for the city of Grant. To have a cost of $2.4 million, double the city's annual budget now, it was unaffordable at that time. And the Valley Branch Watershed District has now started buying these homes at fair market value. So they're taking responsibility for the situation as they should, because they are in charge of the waters that flow across the land. That's great, Larry. We were able to pump and get it down. Fantastic. But obviously it was overwhelmed. And now Valley Branch Watershed District is purchasing those homes, again, for fair market value. And I'm certain some of those people didn't want to move, but at least they got their money. Thank you.
Larry Lanoux, rebuttal.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, in 2017, the city contractor removed a berm. In 2017, they put it back. I want to know, Jeff, did you instruct the city contractor to replace that berm? Because in 2019, when we pumped, I pumped Keats Pond completely dry, but all the water was stuck behind the berm on Keats Avenue. So I want to know why you intentionally flooded those roads over there. And maybe it was to meet the goal of the watershed to purchase flooded homes. Really, the recommendation is there's a 7.5 acre infiltration pond, and you could pump 5 months straight. That's how we lowered that lake 5 feet. Those elderly people should never have had their houses crushed. Actually, one of them shortly after that passed away. I think that had a big effect on them.
Will I be able to go over my time like that as well? Will I get another 10 or 15 seconds? Because yeah, that's not fair, ma'am. So this is quite the crazy. This is quite the crazy conspiracy theory that there's some type of berm that was causing flooding. The Valley Branch Watershed District employs a hydrology firm, and I know their engineer, Mr. Hansen. He's quite the professional. If there were a berm there that I apparently was responsible for, I'm pretty sure the Valley Branch Watershed District and Mr. Hansen would have had it removed. So Larry, again, you really don't have much proof. You have some very interesting theories and they're very entertaining. Unfortunately, there's just no proof to those. It was a landlocked basin. Valley Branch Watershed District decided it was cheaper to purchase these homeowners' homes. Now, it was a problem that happened in the 70s. Now it's fixed. Thank you.
And Larry, you may have another rebuttal as well.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. But the truth of the matter is the Valley Branch that there's no need for those houses to be moved out. If you want to see the berm that was removed, go to thegrantreporter.com and type in, you'll see the flooded, you'll see the city contractor removing the berm that he doesn't believe is there. And you'll see the water gush out. And that's why I was able to lower that lake 5 feet. He had that thing filled back in, and somebody had to direct our city contractor to fill that berm in there, which caused a flooding of these homes. And that's why these elderly people all had to move. They're all in their 70s to 80s. They lost their homes. They're crushed. They're never coming back.
Thank you. So we'll leave the roads and we'll leave the flooding and go on to another topic. And the first to answer will be Larry Lanoux. If elected, how will you encourage citizen participation and transparency? Will you allow public comment at city council meetings and allow them to be recorded and be on the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. Not only will allow public comment, I'll allow it to be recorded as part of the meeting. I will encourage people to come forward. There's too many times I watch people try to speak on an important issue only to be threatened with arrest if they speak. If you want, you can go watch video of it. Our city does it all the time. So I would encourage citizen participation. I'd encourage our civic groups to be allowed to use our building back out there. That's the only facility we have as a meeting place. And we used to allow 4-H. Mr. Huber had all the 4-H banners removed from there. Gateway Trail is no longer allowed to meet there. Woodland Acres, they have to go outside. In fact, it was Mr. Huber that petitioned the district court to form a charter commission. And then when he didn't get his 9 people he liked, he refused the charter commission to meet in its own city, which he petitioned for. So yeah, I think we should encourage civic engagement at all levels. And when the people are outside there and they want to raise their hand during a meeting, many of them have very much information and more knowledge than the people sitting at the council. I would encourage that they're allowed to speak during the council. That's the way it used to always be in our city. And I'd like to get back to that.
Thank you. Jeff Huber.
Yeah, the reason that public comment is still available at every meeting, anyone can speak, any resident can come and speak. The reason that we stopped recording them is because Mr. Lanoux and some of his friends would come and start swearing at the council. We would have swear words thrown. He would bring in people from North St. Paul, people that had to be removed from our council meetings by the police. We've all read these press reports. Larry, let's be honest here. You were bringing in outside agitators to create problems at our city council meetings. You precipitated that change. You caused that change. Now, perhaps one day that can be changed back. But if we think you're going to start doing your same behavioral antics, start going to different Moderator and be removed from the Moderator City Council chambers, going to the Capitol, being removed from there. And by the way, you can all go to newsandgrant.com and see the documents. You can see the actual press reports of Larry being removed from these cities. You can see the press reports of these outside agitators being removed from our meetings. That's why that happened, unfortunately. It was an unfortunate incident. And we have one building and one building only, Larry. It's the city council meeting building. That's the way it's going to stay because we had groups coming in there leaving food in there. We had mice in there, we had infestations in there, and that can't be allowed to happen because the city council does need to do the business of the city there. Okay, so you know what, if you'll promise not to come up and swear again, maybe we can go ahead and put that back on television. Thank you.
Thank you. Larry, rebuttal?
Yes, ma'am, he said I've been removed from the Capitol. I've never been removed from the Capitol. Once again,
Yes,
Jeff makes stuff up again. He sounds like a politician to me. That being said, yeah, the truth hurts, Jeff, when people get up and speak and you have them thrown out by the sheriff's documents. If you want to put out documents, we will put out the police reports, all of them that you're involved in, and publicate them too. But when you make the statement, I've been thrown out of the Capitol, you're absolutely wrong. Have I been thrown out at a city council meeting? Yes, because I oppose you putting schools on a dump site, and you chose to put those schools on a dump site. You allowed hydrovac dumping in our community, and when people come out there and speak against it, you throw them out under threat of arrest. You encourage
Thank you.
environmental.
Yeah, okay. Do I have a rebuttal on that, ma'am, or no?
Did you already have one?
Yes.
Okay.
Going
No,
for another. Thank you.
add it to your next answer. If you
Thank you,
want.
ma'am.
The next, Jeff Huber will be the first to answer the next question. If elected, how will you protect and preserve the character of Grant with a private well and septic system? There's a lot of pressure for development.
Well, you can see there's a couple of big new developments going in, one across from the high school and then one down on Lake Elmo. $1 million homes. What are they all on? They're right next to city water and sewer in Montemita, aren't they? But what are they on? They're on septic and well, because this council made sure of it. So, you know, we have these folks come in like Larry and they want to preserve Grant. Well, the only reason they have a chance to preserve Grant is because myself and the team that's with me on the city council now have already preserved it for them. I mean, it's been done over and over. And by the way, Larry, I do appreciate you not denying swearing at the council meetings, and you did not deny being thrown out of the Montemita council chambers. So that was very interesting. By the way, yeah, we can find some reports of the state patrol handling you at the Capitol. And again, newsandgrant.com, you can see all of those documents, including where you owe the city $66,513.33 for your frivolous and malicious lawsuits. And we'll be hoping to get that on your taxes soon.
Thank you, Larry Lanoux.
Yeah, Jeff, I find that very interesting because, you know, we're in appeals court. I took the city to court because you're involved in open meeting violations, abuse of the consent agenda, and non-use of our town hall. Yeah, I took it at my expense to hold you accountable. And it's an appeals court, so don't, you know, until it's settled, Jeff, I don't think you have a whole lot to talk about. In fact, I'll take it to the Supreme Court if that's where we have to go. I'm not afraid to speak up for the citizens' right. In fact, I'm one of the few people that will stand up for the citizens' right. And I go back and say, I'm going to call you an outright liar, Jeff, because I've never been thrown out of a state capitol. I'd still like to see the document you're talking about, because you keep making this stuff up. But I think if I were thrown out, I would know that, Jeff. So I'm just coming out right and tell you're lying on a public forum over here. So I'd love to see the document.
Rebuttals?
Again, Larry, I'm very, very glad you don't deny swearing in council chambers. I'm very, very glad you don't deny being thrown out of the Montemita council chambers. I'm very, very glad you don't deny any of it. You deny being thrown out of the Capitol. Maybe escorted out would be a better word, huh? Yeah, Larry, what you don't deny is probably more informative to the citizens than what you do deny. So we shall see. Your appeal has absolutely no chance of bearing fruit for you. And like anyone else who appeals, you're guilty until the appeal comes back innocent. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to the next question. The first to answer, Larry Lanoux. And that will be, do you feel the town hall is being maintained properly? Please explain.
It's not being maintained properly. Number one, it wasn't being maintained when they took out all the 4-H banners out of our town hall. That was not a good move. 50-year history, and they threw 4-H out of our town hall. Along with any other civic group, you can go to their policy and procedures, you can see no one's allowed to use our city. He called it the city council chambers. They're the only ones allowed to use our building. Go out and look at the 4-H garden that they put out by the ball field. It's not being maintained. It's being simply overgrown because there is no pride in our community. People are not coming back to our town hall. Go look at the people that show up. They don't come there anymore because they're not welcome. If you don't make them welcome, they're not going to come. Just go look at the grounds out there. Look at we have third world roads out here. Not only is our town hall not being maintained, but neither are our roads in a proper fashion. No, we should be allowing our citizens, and in fact, we should encourage the use. The mice come in because it gets warm, not because the kids eat popcorn, because Mr. Huber brings snacks in and pop when he gets at council meeting, but evidently the mice don't seem to worry about that.
Thank you, Jeff Huber.
Yeah, number one, 4-H was never asked to leave the building. We actually had the president, and she said, our kids can't do any of their projects here. There's no running water, there's no plumbing. So they couldn't do any cooking projects, they couldn't do any of the other projects. They left to a church that had running water. Our city council chambers don't. you know, it's funny, it's not being maintained, but I went out there today and I had a couple of citizens out there. I stopped and talked to them. They were out planting hostas in front. I would challenge some of our residents to go down there and see if those new hostas are doing okay. Hopefully they don't get torn out by anyone, but they were planting hostas in there and they've gone around the side of it. It looks quite nice. So no one was actually thrown out. The policy was we had too much use of a very old building with no plumbing and no septic system. So it was felt better that that very small building be preserved through less use and through not having food in it. And Larry, we don't allow food at city council meetings. We don't even have a waste basket just to discourage it. So yeah, I think we're doing a good job with it. It's still there and still standing, and we can't wait to get back into it. We're tired of these Zoom meetings, that's for sure. Thanks.
Larry Lanoux, rebuttal?
Yeah, actually, if you go to the grantreporter.com, you'll see, we'll post a video of Joyce Wieslander, who held 4-H'er for 50 years. She asked to be put in there. I'll show you other 4-H members that asked that our banners be put back in there, and they will tell you they were driven out of their 50-year history. Yeah, Jeff can get anybody to say what he wants. Go talk to Joyce Wieslander. For 50 years, we held 4-H in that community. It was not an issue. Nobody ever complained about not having water out there. In fact, it was Jeff that was in charge of maintaining the water hydrant outside the town hall, but he couldn't evidently keep the E. coli off the handle.
Thank you. Jeff, a rebuttal?
Yeah, we still have a 4-H banner inside. It's on the south wall when you walk in. It's just to the left. Yeah, that's Larry, I don't even know what to say there. Some of your stories are just so outlandish, it's hard to rebut them. When we sealed off that well, it was a very shallow well with the pump handle. So those were all being abandoned, and they were caused to be abandoned by the Minnesota Department of Health. But Larry, that's a good one. I'll have to remember that one. Thanks.
All right, so let's go on to the next question. The first to answer will be Jeff Huber. Please share with us your other involvement in the city as far as organization memberships, leadership, and accomplishments.
Mm-hmm. Sure. These questions are interesting. It's amazing. I guess some of my people didn't have an opportunity to put any questions in because these are all pretty much up Larry's alley. The other organization that I'm in for the city and that I represent the city in is the Cable Commission. We're a 10-member consortium of cities that have the franchise rights and the ability to negotiate with the Cable Commission. And we are in the midst of communication and negotiation with them right now. The last time we negotiated with them, I was able to negotiate a 1.5-mile extension of our cable infrastructure and grant. It's always been a point of contention that we have not been able to get it. I was the first one to actually get a 1.5 mile extension or any extension whatsoever. And as you did watch the meeting last night, we have approved our CARES Act funding, $250,000 plus in CARES Act funds, in order to reimburse people for bringing high-speed internet in from their right-of-way into their homes. And we're very proud of that program. We're hoping to get that launched very, very soon. We're sending out a postcard in the next few days so that we can get more people connected to high-speed internet for education, telehealth, and just plain working at home, like many of us are doing. So thank you.
Thank you. Larry Lanoux.
Yes, I have served both on the Planning Commission, the Charter Commission, and the City Council. The only citizen in Grant then can make that statement. This flyer you always got out for the tractor parade, I was a founder of the Grant Restoration Tractor Parade and the one that put together youth scholarships that still goes on today to create citizen participation. We feed over 600 people that come into that tractor parade at the Goss House. So yes, I've been very involved in our city. Am I passionate? Yeah. Have I ever sworn on the city council? Yeah, I said BS, but I probably didn't use the initials, you know. It's not near as offensive as some of the stuff I've heard Mr. Huber say, but evidently he has a lack of memory here. But I'm talking about my accomplishments that I've done in the community. I'll wait for the rebuttal and then we'll talk about Jeff's Cable Commission.
Okay, rebuttal.
How do you rebut that? I served on the Planning Commission, served on the council. Larry served on the council for 4 years. All of these things that he's complaining about, he had every opportunity to rectify while he was on the council. did nothing. Said BS a lot, marched out of the council chambers quite a bit, ran off in a huff once in a while, but never really got anything done. It's sad, Larry. That's just a sad way to put that, your service there, because you did have good service, and then you were disinvited from the tractor parade. You weren't allowed to show up at the tractor parade, Larry. You should probably tell the citizens that.
Larry Lanoux, rebuttal?
Yeah. First off, that's another outright blatant lie by Mr. Huber. I was not asked not to show up. What I was asked is say not to be political, and I chose not to participate because it was all about making a change in Grant. But I want to talk about Mr. Huber accepting free cable and internet, which he has no oversight over, receiving over $12,000 worth of benefit, while the other citizens in Grant don't have cable access. All cable is pegged, public education, government. There are other citizens that would sat on that committee and accepted the free cable, but as an elected official, he chose to take.
That's it.
Yep.
Mr. Lanoux.
And I have made positive change using that position, Larry. Very positive change.
Next
Second
question.
rebuttal.
Next question. You both had rebuttals,
Yes, ma'am.
maybe more than one.
Yes, ma'am.
Larry Lanoux, you're first to answer this. In the future, what would be your priorities as mayor?
My priority was to protect our environment. Mr. Huber allowed hydrovac dumping. They brought trucks in from 3M site and dumped them out on Joliet and 110th County Road 9 over there. The permit said the gentleman owned 25 acres when he only owned 12. He was allowed to do it. While on there, I was able to get a cease and desist ordered, and the MPCA involved, and they give him a $3,500 fine, and we stopped hydrovac dumping in Grant. That was to protect our water supply, because once we damage our water supply, the only solution is to bring in Met Council sewer and water, and I think Mr. Huber was behind that.
Mr. Huber?
Wow, I'm behind a lot of things.
Your
I have a lot of power, I guess. A hydrovac is nothing more than a dump truck with a hose on it. And what that gentleman was doing was on the edge, but legal. In fact, we had the MPCA and tested what that gentleman was bringing in over and over and over again, and it was found to be safe. He, at some point, had enough, and I believe he sold and moved out of Grant because of the harassment he undertook from Larry and Lauren. In fact, Larry went trespassing over there one day and got caught, got chased to Lauren's house, and well, I'll post that police report on newsandgrant.com so everyone can read that. But that gentleman wasn't doing anything wrong other than offending Larry and Lauren. As I say, the material that he was discharging was coming from a rain garden that they were pumping out and depositing those rocks and the sand from that rain garden over there. So again, tested multiple times, no problem. Just like a dump truck, it can either carry clean soil, it can carry dirty soil. And we proved there was no dirty soil, Larry, there. It was just another one of his bait and switch tactics so that he can complain.
Rebuttal, Mr. Lanoux?
Yes, Mr. Huber. Actually, it came from 3M, the the chemical plant over there in 3M. They followed the trucks in there and followed them back. Yes, they can come in there and test all they want. And if you're testing for Kool-Aid, but you don't find Kool-Aid out there, are you going to say it's a safe site? There's 80,000 chemicals. Which chemicals did they test for? If it wasn't hazardous, why did the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency fine them $3,500 and tell them to close its operation? Sir, you put our water supply at risk. You put our citizens at risk. And it's the city's duty to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens.
Thank you. Jeff Huber, rebuttal?
Sure. No, we didn't. It was closed down in time. We continue to test it. The MPCA knows what they're doing. Larry is apparently more of an expert than the MPCA. They were shut down and fined $3,500 for a paperwork violation, as I believe they had forgotten to cross some T's, dot some I's. But this is, again, another bait and switch. No one's endangering the water in Grant. Our wells are tested consistently. And Larry knows this, and that's why we're going to keep our sewers, our septic systems in our wells, because our water is safe. It's the best water in the metro area, and we love it. So We all know that the city has done everything that it needs to do possible in order to protect that resource. And we continue to do that and will continue to do that.
Thank you. Next question. Jeff Huber is the first to answer. What is the role of commercial and business interests in the city?
Is that the entire question? Could you ask it again, please?
What is the role of commercial and business interests in the city? What role do they play?
The role of commercial and business interests in the city, I would think, would be to make a profit, since that's why most businesses are founded and operate in order to make a profit. Now, if you're asking me what the city's role is in business and commercial interests, it's to provide a set of standards, a set of guidelines that they do not violate, that maintains, again, our home in the country. There are certain things that businesses can do in Grant, whether it's a wedding barn or whether it's a bar down on 60th Street, a bar and restaurant down on 60th Street. They have the right to exist. And as long as they have clear, fair rules that protect the neighbors and protect other people's peace and quiet, they certainly have the right to exist. And we think that they're valued neighbors and taxpayers. We're glad to have them in Grant.
Thank you. Larry Lanoux.
Jeff is right. He has allowed leapfrog development, wedding barns, wine tasting events. He's made it allowable for 46 supper clubs through the ordinance that they put together. He has turned down public storage buildings which require no sewer and water to be put on the commercial avenue up there on 66. So he hasn't really encouraged the right type of development. And I think our development for business should be more geared to our agricultural heritage in Grant. We should be allowing more of that to flourish in Grant because that does not require the public sewer and water and Met Council.
Thank you. Any rebuttals on this?
Well, we already have truck gardens. We have Costas, we have Amit's Apple Farm. We have a number of different outlets selling locally grown produce. We do have wineries. We have beekeeping. We have honey sales. We have just about every conceivable type of horses, sheep, goats, chickens, the whole thing. Every conceivable livestock and vegetable operation, I think, conceivable. Do we support that? Sure. Do we do anything more than support it and provide clear and fair rules? No, because it's not the city's job. The city's job is to provide those guidelines so that businesses can flourish within them while maintaining our citizens' peace and quiet. We've historically been very, very good at that. Thank you.
Larry Lanoux, rebuttal.
Yeah. I believe it's very important that we do encourage our agricultural and our rich heritage, allow these citizens in some of these activities to produce. But we can also, when we have operations that want to come in our business district, not restrict them. I know the problem that we have right now is Mr. Huber goes out and he selectively enforces conditional use permits and or requires people to get conditional use permits. And most of them that have been opposition to is because they didn't support him for re-election. If you want an example, check up by Hools, check the Gast House, check other people that did not support Mr. Huber for re-election. They seem to be selectively put under the microscope.
Thank you. Next question. Larry Lanoux goes first. What do you feel needs to be improved in the city, and what will you do or change to make that happen?
Well, the biggest thing we have to do is encourage the citizen participation at all civic levels. We need to welcome the people back into our town hall. We need to allow them to speak without being thrown out under threat of arrest. We do need to protect our private well and septic. That's one of the most important things we have to do. We have to amend the comprehensive plan that they put together to deter Met Council intrusion, not encourage it. And we should not be directing our staff to be rewriting resolutions to be compliant with Met Council. At all costs, we should be opposing Met Council. And actually, that's what the charter was designed to do, to protect or prohibit sewer and water. It's a shame that they lied on the their advertising saying it would bring in higher taxes and sewer and water because it was written in their 3 places. All they had to do was read it.
Jeff Huber.
Yeah, it's amazing, Larry, that our citizens are just not smart enough to get what you're trying to do for them, isn't it? Yeah, the Charter Commission was defeated so decisively because the people knew what it was. It was another layer of government we didn't need. And as far as citizen involvement, we welcome all citizen involvement. What we don't welcome is profanity, cursing, childish behavior, being removed from council chambers, bringing in outside agitators, Larry, and doing those types of things. We want our citizens to know that our door is always open. My email's open, my phone is open, and certainly we still have public comments contrary to what you've said. So we encourage citizen involvement. What we don't encourage is juvenile behavior that brings us down and brings us bad press coverage over and over and over again. The city has moved past that, Larry, and we're hoping with thoughtful votes to keep moving past that type of behavior, Larry. So thank you very much.
Anything further? Larry Lanoux.
Yep. Well, I hope that the citizens of Grant support me for election. I hope they support Wayne Sarapo and Kim Erickson. And if we can change the council majority, we will encourage citizen participation at all levels. We will welcome them back. We'll ask them to come in there and participate in tractor parades and putting our gardens together. And you know what? Maybe we'll even encourage 4-H to come back to our community. I think it's something we need.
Jeff Huber, anything more to add on this?
On that question, ma'am?
On that question about what, a rebuttal for that question, if you
Sure.
choose.
Yeah, our comprehensive plan has been incredibly effective at keeping the Met Council dictates of city sewer and city water out. All you have to do is go up across the high school and look at that development. We're talking about $600,000 million houses that are maybe 100 yards from Montemita City Sewer and Water. And no, they're not on it. They've drilled wells. They have septic systems. The city's past performance speaks for itself. Larry is talking fear. I'm talking facts. We have kept the Met Council out. We continue to do that. And the examples are all around town in our development. So there's really nothing more to say about that. It's sort of a red herring.
Thank you. And this is going to be the last question, and it goes first to Jeff Huber. How and in what specific ways are you different from your opponent on issues?
Yeah, well, I'm inherently conservative. When you look at our budgets, you can see that they have stayed to a 3.5% raise during my tenure, both on the council and as mayor. So we've kept our budgets low. We've encouraged our citizens' participation. The city has not initiated any of the road projects I talked about. Those were all citizen road projects. Those petitions came forward to us at the council, and then we moved forward on those. So that was all citizen participation, grassroots participation that got those roads done, and we're very, very proud of them. But we're really different in terms of our approach. Larry's a little more combative, and I think he's okay with probably admitting that. Combative doesn't work when you're the leader of a city, especially a city in our position. You need someone who's a little bit more of a diplomat and a little bit better able to get along with people. And our longest serving staff tells me that the city council that we have right now, myself, Tom Carr, Jeff Schaefer, we know how to treat our staff, we know how to treat our contractors, and we know how to interact with our citizens in a productive way. We've done that for years. We'd like to keep doing that, and with your thoughtful vote, we will. Thank you.
Thank you. Larry Lanoux?
Yeah, could you repeat the question, please?
How and what ways specifically are you different from your opponent on the issues?
Well, I'm probably a little bit more passionate. I probably care a little bit more for our cities. I'm one that likes to get things done. Now, when it comes to our neighbors flooding and losing their house, I went there and found a solution. Mr. Huber, if you read some of his deal, he says the city doesn't care. And I believe he believes that. But I believe when I serve, it's to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens. But when you're sitting on a council and you're sitting there in the minority, you have to have a loud voice because that's the only way you can get heard. I would not be hiding stuff on the consent agenda. I would not require, in fact, I would encourage that they use Robert's rules and bring back Robert's rules so we can have an orderly fashion and not hide stuff on the consent agenda all the time. That's why look at our city council meetings now. They're only lasting 30 minutes. The resolutions are written before they're behind closed doors. They're read. They take a first, a second, and a vote, and it's gone. No discussion. Read the city council minutes. You won't find any discussion. So that's the difference. I'll encourage citizen participation and I'll allow the people with more knowledge in that audience to step forward and speak without being thrown out. I'll post a video of Mr. Huber threatening one of our citizens as he tried to speak.
Rebuttals?
Well, there's so much there. How do you rebut it all? Larry, I served in the minority in the council for 2 years. And what I learned was not having a loud voice, being rude, swearing, using profanity, screaming, getting up and leaving. What I learned was a reasonable tone and having the facts to back up my positions really worked. The reason that the council's meetings have gotten shorter is because we don't have you there. What we have are respectful gentlemen who debate ideas using facts, not loud voices, not profanity, not juvenile antics. We're up there speaking about the facts, speaking about the issues facing the city, and we're solving them using calm, cool reason, not loud voices.
Larry Lanoux, rebuttal.
Yep, I just encourage you to go back and watch some of the last city council meetings since we've been gone. They last, you know, on an average of 15 to 35 minutes. All the stuff has been pre-packaged. The resolutions are written. There is no discussion. Citizens are not allowed to participate. Absolutely. When you got 4 people and they're all bobbleheads and they just agree with each other, that's not good government. Good government is when you have opposing views and you're willing to listen. But that was very hard when you're in the minority out there to get your point across and listen to, because just go back and look when I tried to add something to it.
Well, calm voices will do that, Larry. If you're calm, people will hear you.
You know, Jeff,
What, Larry?
it's like the tree in the forest that falls. When you're really calm, does it fall? No, Jeff, it makes a big noise. That's what I'm going to do if elected. I will make a big noise, and I'll allow even you to walk into a city council meeting and be heard.
Oh, you can walk in anytime.
We're going to close out the questions and we're going to turn to your closing statements now, and they will be in reverse order from your opening statements. So Larry Lanoux, first to go. You have a minute.
All right. I've got our Grant City newsletter from 2017. This is when the first really big flooding was coming on and these houses were put in jeopardy. Not one mention about flooded homes or what the city would do for it. But if you go back into our city newsletter, it talks about scoop the poop. There's a dog. That's what we're talking about. As our houses are being flooded, he's worried about dog feces. I'm telling you, if elected, I will watch out for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens. I have opened up Keats Avenue. Jocelyn will be open within the week over here if I can get the city contractor to fix up the potholes. But the water will be off the road because of my efforts. The citizens know who will actually get out there, put it in their bootstraps and get it fixed. Jeff thought he fixed a dry hydrant. Go out there that they won't even use a dry hydrant he fixed. So folks, I'll stand up for your rights. I'll go out there. I'll try to save your homes. I will not deny it. I will not put berms in there, and I will not crush citizens' houses. I'm very passionate about our city, and I will serve. Recently, I had a stent put in. I don't need this job, but I want to leave this for my grandkids the way it was when I came to this city, and it's not the way it is now. Right now, our city is very dysfunctional. It's broken.
Okay, that's, yep.
Thank you for having us. I
Jeff,
appreciate it.
your closing statement.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, leave it to Larry to bring up dog feces. That's part of our MS4 permit. He wouldn't understand it, but that's about where Larry usually goes. I talked about performance, past performance, and keeping promises. We've done that. We've done that over and over, both in our budgets, keeping out city water and sewer, the examples I've raised with the new developments. So that's really how I want our citizens to judge this race. What is the past performance? Because that's going to show you what their future performance is almost always. Our past performance is fantastic. My opponent, Larry, he has a record of performance as well. Yeah. While he was in, he had 6 different lawsuits against the city or its personnel. He's been very consistent in that he lost every case. He currently owes the city of Grant, its residents, and our insurance carriers $66,513.33. That's a gold-plated fact. I have the hearing notice from Washington County Judge Laura Python for his, and I quote the judge, frivolous and malicious lawsuits against the city and its residents. His first promise he should have made if elected should be that his city paycheck go towards paying off his debt to the residents of Grant, because he does owe him that money. We actually spent over $150,000 on Mr. Lanoux's lawsuits because he could not use calm, clear reason. He used lawsuits, yelling, profanity, running out of the meetings. He got us bad press, Pioneer Press, White Bear Press, Star Tribune. It was embarrassing. Past performance equals future performance.
Thank you both, gentlemen.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I just have a couple of announcements before we close. We will put all this forum and all of our other forums on our YouTube channel, new this year. You'll find links to that at our website, www.lwv-wbla.org. You can request an absentee ballot now on Secretary of State's website, mnvotes.org. If you need to register to vote or update your registration, you can also do that online or when you go to vote. That ends our forum. Thank you, candidates, for speaking to voters about the issues and for coming forward to run in the city of Grant. Thanks to our volunteers and to the viewers for watching and for your interest in becoming informed voters. Make your voice heard on November 3rd in the general election.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good night.